Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 film Hellboy, The Crooked Man. The film is directed by Brian Taylor and it stars Jack Kesey as Hellboy. We have Jefferson White, Leah McNamara, Adeline Rudolph and Joseph Marcel. Right, okay, this is a different type of Hellboy film that you may be used to. It's set in 1959. Hellboy at the beginning of the film is on a long train journey, carrying some kind of special cargo that needs protecting. They cross this land that he can clearly sense is evil. It stirs something in the box. They end up, he and like a rookie agent, Bobby Joe Song, end up kind of coming off the train, landing in this area that is clearly haunted. The locals are pretty spooked, and there is a legend in the area called a Crooked Man that comes to collect souls. It's up to Hellboy, a young man called Tom, and this rookie agent, Bobby Joe Song, to find out what's going on and end the evil in this area. Right. What are my thoughts on Hellboy, the Crooked Man? Well, as I said right at the beginning, I think we've had three Hellboy films in the past. We've got the two Ron Perlman ones that I'm a big fan of. We've got the David Harbour one that came out, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a bit less, that got absolutely slated when it came out. I didn't hate that film, I'm not going to lie. I thought it was decent. And then we got this, and then as soon as the trailer for this one went up, my God, it didn't half get some hate. What is this all about? Who's this guy playing Hellboy? God, this looks rubbish. This looks trash. Blah, blah, blah. As you get all the time on the internet when so-called fans don't like what they see. And while I don't think that this is an outstanding film or anything, and it definitely has its issues, this is essentially a horror film, a supernatural horror film with witchcraft, all this kind of stuff in it, and it's got Hellboy in it. Take from that what you will. Does he fit in this kind of film? Yes and no. Is it a bit of an oddity? Yes, it is a little bit. But the creator of Hellboy, Mike Mignola, co-wrote this story, the screenplay for this film, and I believe it's based on one of his kind of Hellboy stories. So he's been quite open about his dislike of the feature films that have come before. So he's got his fingers a little bit all over this one. So I think perhaps fans of Hellboy as he is portrayed in the comics and stuff some of them might be actually satisfied with this. I actually thought there were some strong elements here in this film. It is, as I've said, essentially a supernatural horror, and that part of the film works quite well. But then you've got Hellboy in it, so I personally never really felt like he was under any great amount of threat. Yes, he gets hurt in this film. Yes, he gets thrown around in this film. Yes, he goes up against this, elemental, horrific creature called, the Crooked Man, that is pretty freaky and creepy, by the way. But I never felt he was at risk. Now, if this was like just a normal type horror film with, just normal regular folk in it, well then, yeah, I think this would have kind of got the blood going a little bit, because there was some horror elements in this film that worked quite well. There was some interesting body horror stuff going on. There was some interesting supernatural horror stuff going on, and this Crooked Man character kind of was quite fascinating and interesting, and the design of it was very, very good. But if you like, they kept putting like bits of action in it because it's Hellboy, and it never really felt completely comfortable with itself, this film. But what I really liked about it is it knew what it wanted to do. It's quite a tight, focused story. It's quite a short film, and by that I think it's just over about an hour and a half. So it's a short, tight, focused film. It is what it is. It doesn't try to be anything over the top or glossy. They've scaled it back. They've scaled the budget back. And while, I don't think there's anything wrong with any of the effects here, I suspect most of them are practical effects from what we're seeing in this film. There's some CGI stuff like a spider and things like that, and well, other bits and pieces. But, I thought the effects, really, were pretty decent. One of the big issues that this film has, in my opinion, is it's just too dark. Now, it's a very dark tale anyway, but what I mean by that is it's visually dark. There was one scene in particular where Hellboy's like fighting off these, I don't know really what to call them, almost like zombies, I suppose. And I could barely see what was going on. And then there's scenes with like underground and stuff, and again, I really struggled to make out what was happening here and there. So for me, it was poorly lit occasionally for you to kind of enjoy some of the action sequences, or even some of the scenes that are trying to kind of get the blood going, sort of thing. Get you scared or prepared for what might be coming. So yeah, as I said, I think I said this is set in 1959, so it's kind of I guess you could say like a younger Hellboy character. And obviously this guy, Jack Kesey, is going to be compared to Ron Perlman. And even David Harbour, I expect. But, I mean, the ultimate Hellboy was Ron Perlman. I don't think anyone's ever going to replace him. He is Hellboy. I think he does a decent job here. I think the problem here with the script is it doesn't give him a lot to do in regards to dialogue. He doesn't have an awful lot of one-liners, not really, not like you'd expect really from Hellboy, and it's kind of a little bit devoid of personality. It's a bit one note, if you like. So I would have liked maybe a little bit more personality pushed into the character to kind of lighten him up a little bit, make him a little bit more interesting. It just felt a little bit drab at times. Not always, but just at times. And I wasn't sure how to take this portrayal of Hellboy, but I'm not going to lie, it did kind of grow on me, the performance, as the film went on. So yeah, I mean, forget the other three Hellboy films, these really epic, mythical movies where the end of the world is nigh and all this kind of stuff, and Hellboy, Hellboy's destiny, to open the gates of hell and all this shit that we saw in the other films. That's all great and wonderful. But as I said, this is a much tighter, focused story that just focuses on these woods. It's got witchcraft, it's got supernatural horror, and it's got this crooked man and a small amount of like human characters as well as Hellboy. So it's a different approach. I think some people are going to quite enjoy this, and I think some people are absolutely going to hate it. You just watch when this kind of hits YouTube and X and all that kind of stuff. There'll be people joyfully, taking large craps all over this film, I expect, but please watch it yourself. Make your own mind up. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as probably some of these people are going to make out that you're going to watch. I thought there was some decent elements here, and I appreciated that they were trying to do something different. I appreciated that, they did it on what it was considered these days quite a small budget. So, part of me kind of hopes this does quite well, because I'll be interested to see what they were going to do next, because this feels like the beginning of Hellboy's story. This vision that they're trying to get across here. So I'd be interested to see what they could do with a little bit of a bigger budget, a little bit of a more expansive story, and a few more characters from this world. That I think would be an interesting take. So I've got my fingers crossed that this actually does quite well. And then hopefully we might see another film in the future. I suspect it's not, and I suspect what we'll get is another 5 years down the line, another reboot, but hopefully not anyway. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the Hellboy films, and this one in general if you've seen it. and I will of course be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.